Today, as we continue working with solving equations, we are going to be looking at equations that have a variable on both sides of the equal sign. So something that we have not seen up to this point. As we work through these four problems that you have in your book, we're not going to work them in order. A couple of them have some special solutions, some special cases that we don't see very often. We see once in a while, but I want to take a look at the problems that are going to give us a normal answer first. So we're going to start with number 2. So when I look at number 2, I see a variable on both sides of my equal sign. When we have a variable on both sides of the equal sign, it works much better. We find that students make fewer mistakes if they start by eliminating one of the variables first. Because we know we've spent multiple days now working with equations that only have a variable on one side. So that's what we want to fix first. When we do that, okay, we've got a 4m on the left side, we've got a 5m on the right side. It doesn't matter which one we choose to eliminate, but there is one that's going to be easier and, again, force less errors by doing it. And what I tell students is always to get rid of the smaller variable term, okay? Because then you're going to eliminate having negatives with your variable. Okay, so get rid of, pick on the little guy. So in number 2, again, I have a 4m and a 5m. I'm going to pick on the little guy, so I'm going to get rid of 4m. What am I going to have to do to get rid of 4m? Kasha? I'm going to subtract 4m, and whatever I do on one side, I have to do on the other side. So under my m, my variable term, so I subtract, my 4m's are gone. I drop down the negative 6 equals 5m minus 4m gives me how much? 1m. I just need an m. That one is invisible. And I drop down my plus 2. So now that I eliminated that variable term, now I've got an equation that I've worked with before. I want the m by itself, so I need to get rid of the 2. So I subtract 2 on both sides. Negative 6 minus 2 is how much? Negative 8, drop down my m, the other part is gone. So I come up with an answer of m equals negative 8. Now I need to check my work. So I'm putting a negative 8 in place of the m. So 4 times negative 8 minus 6 equals 5 times negative 8 plus 2. So this time, again, because I had a variable on both sides, my check is going to be a little bit different. And I'm going to actually work 2 parts. So I'm going to work on the left side. So 4 times negative 8 is how much? Negative 32 minus 6. Negative 32 minus 6 is how much? Negative 38. On the right-hand side, 5 times negative 8 is negative 40, plus 2 is negative 38. And those are equal. Okay, so again, our check, we had to work on both sides because we had a variable on both sides. So I'm going to move to number 3. We'll come back and do number 1 in a little bit. So number 3, again, variable on both sides. I have a negative 3m. I have a positive 6m. So which one do I want to eliminate? Okay, the negative 3m. So what do I have to do to get rid of that negative 3m? Add 3m to both sides. So I have 2 equals 9m minus 7. I want to get the m by itself. So what's the next thing I'm going to do? Okay, going to add 7 because again, I'm working on the side that has that variable. So I'm adding 7 to both sides. 9 equals 9m. So my last step, I'm going to divide both sides by 9. M equals 1. So again, very important that you continue to write those problems vertical. Some of you are not showing all of your work, and then you're writing your answer off to the side. Okay? Everything needs to drop straight down. We have to keep everything in line with that equal sign. We can't rearrange the problem. Okay. So now we're going to look at number 4. Okay. I have 2m minus 6 equals 2m plus 8. So variable on both sides. So I need to eliminate. What am I going to do to eliminate a variable? Okay. So I'm going to subtract 2m on both sides. So it's 2m minus 2m. 0. Okay. It's gone on the left side. I bring down my negative 6. When I work on the right side, it is also gone. I bring down my 8. Okay. So we haven't seen anything like that happen before where my variable disappeared. Okay. So my variable disappeared. I don't have any variables anymore. Do I have a true statement? Negative 6 equals 8? Okay. That is not. Okay. So I have a false statement. So my answer is no solution. Okay. No solution. And because there's no solution, I can't do a check. Okay? What that means is I could put any number I want in place of m. My equation is never going to check. It's never going to be the same thing on both sides of that equal sign. There is no solution. Now we're going to go back to number 1. Number 1, I have 2m minus 2 equals 2m minus 2. So again, I'm going to start out by eliminating a variable. So what am I going to do to eliminate a variable? Dominic? Subtract 2m from both sides. And I have negative 2 equals negative 2. So again, my variable disappeared. But when I look at my statement this time, It's not false like it was in number 4. It's a true statement. So my answer is not -2, okay? It doesn't say m equals -2. When the variable disappears and I have a true statement, my answer is infinitely many, or some textbooks, some printed material will say all real numbers. We usually use the words infinitely many. But again, if you see something about all real numbers, what this means is that any number works. Okay? No matter how big or small, positive or negative, whatever you put in place of m is going to make a true statement because the left and right sides are exactly the same. Okay? So, most of the time when you are working problems, you are going to get a single answer like we did in numbers 2 and 3. On occasion, you will see those special solutions where your variable disappears. If your statement is false, like in number 4, it's no solution. If your statement is true, like in number 1, then it is infinitely many solutions. So that is our lesson on equations with variables on both sides.